Welcome everybody to another edition of Back to School. This is a special edition of WWE's Extreme Rules. I am Mike Hiru and this is Beyond the Shoot. So we have the Extreme Rules kickoff show. It has two matches. In my opinion, those two matches belong on the card because they are going to be way better than any match on the card. Take off Roman, take off Constable Corbin, put them on the kickoff show and put these two matches because these two matches were phenomenal. It was Cien Almas versus Sin Cara. They put on an A show on SmackDown out of nowhere match, and out of nowhere pre-show match, they put on another B+ show. It was back and forth, back and forth. Sin Cara did show how underutilized he's been in the past year or 2-3 years that he's been in the WWE. I understand why. He's done botches, he's not been up to par of what they expected, but I feel like putting him in a feud with Cien Almas, an actual storyline behind it, this feud can go forever and ever. I give this a B+. So moving on to the next one, we have an Extreme Rules match on the kickoff show. New Day versus Sanity. I already gave this an A+ since SmackDown. And today, I'm gonna give it an A. Phenomenal match. There's Extreme rules involved. That's all that matters, is Extreme Rules. Just live up to the pay-per-view. New Day, we knew we were gonna put over Sanity. They need to. Sanity can't afford to lose, and New Day can. And that's exactly what happened. Kofi Kingston had tremendous spots. Big E flying from the middle of the rope. Killian Dane had no match for Big E in this one. Eric Young got the victory, put Kofi Kingston through the table, 1, 2, 3. Sanity does get the win, and I give that a B+. Great way to start the pre-show kickoff, and that's a good way to get fans in the stadium earlier, which I understand. So to start off the show, the first match of the night, we have the Woken family, the Deleters of Worlds versus the B team. I chose the B team to win, and that's exactly what happened. They won. I'm gonna give this a B. Not because of the match. The match I would give a C, but overall, in general, I'm gonna give it a B for the fact that the B team might do something with these tag titles. They have great characters. They just need a little bit more to get to the top, and them as a comedic duo have been gold. And it happened today. They were gold. I'm not sure at the end it's kind of like a face turn because they actually acknowledged the crowd and had them chant the B team. But I'm excited to see where that goes. As far as the Deleters of the World, Matt Hardy did accidentally strike Bray Wyatt, so that might end up being a little feud. But like I said, I am excited to see that. Hopefully it's better than the first one. And speaking of tag teams, we go backstage and the Bludgeon Brothers are beating up on Team Hell No, which I kind of thought, I understand why, but then I was like, damn, that means Team Hell No is gonna win because the babyface is getting beaten up at the beginning of the show. So what they do is they just beat up Daniel Bryan and they cause Kane to have an ankle injury, which leaves in doubt later on in the night. So we go back to the ring and we have the how do you want to call it? Let's call it an unwatchable women's match. It's Asuka versus Carmella, James Ellsworth on the shark cage up top. He was kind of carrying, his jacket was a little heavy, and me and Psycho Steve were already saying something's in his jacket. He's gonna interfere with some type of foreign object. And this match literally lasted 7 minutes with 2 minutes of wrestling. It all revolved around James Ellsworth in the cage and Carmella on the ground. He was in the cage and Carmella gets thrown out. So Asuka's going out to the ring. James Ellsworth escapes. He's literally hanging with upside down from the cage, and I hate this because it ruined the match. We have the officials coming in, trying to get him to the top of the cage, put him in the cage. So Asuka starts getting mad and starts kicking everybody up. He's beating all the officials, kicking James Ellsworth, not knowing that Carmella's right behind her. As soon as she turns around, grabs her, hits her head in the ring, 1, 2, 3, Asuka loses again. In a very, very irritating manner, I'm gonna give this a D because it was horrible. There was no wrestling involved. Asuka's getting buried to the ground. She's lost 2 weeks in a row to Carmella and James Ellsworth, of all people. Carmella is still champion. It makes zero sense to me. She has no wrestling ability, and she is not capable to the standards of Asuka, Charlotte, or Becky. I hope Becky comes in and wins this and faces Asuka because this needs to happen ASAP. Next up, we have the United States Championship match of Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura, in my opinion, has the best entrance of all WWE besides Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. I love his entrance. I love his music. I love his crazy antics. It it's awesome, and I enjoy that. So back to the match. Before the match even starts, Shinsuke low blows just the way he does to Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy's standing there just holding his crotch, and the ref rings a bell. Jeff Hardy turns around, Kinshasa, 1, 2, 3, Shinsuke is a new US champion in a matter of 5 seconds. I'm not mad at that. I'm gonna give that a B+. Jeff Hardy has been injured. He's been working injured for the past couple of months. Me and Psycho Steve predicted Shinsuke to win because Jeff Hardy needs a break, and this is the perfect way to give him that break, not let him lose any momentum, and give Shinsuke that heel win that he's been needing. Finally, Shinsuke has a title, and he has momentum heading into whatever feud he's heading into, which brings up the next part. Randy Orton's music hits. The Viper. He comes down to the ring. Jeff Hardy's laying on the ground. Shinsuke runs to the side. He's just staring at Shinsuke. Jeff Hardy's getting up. The crowd starts chanting RKO, RKO. Randy Orton can give an RKO to anybody and the crowd will chant for it. So the crowd's chanting, and Randy Orton grabs his legs and just starts stomping on Jeff Hardy and walks out. That's heel Randy Orton. That's the perfect Randy Orton, and that's the Randy Orton that WWE needs, is heel Randy Orton. I don't need him being a babyface. I don't need him getting cheered from the crowd. He needs to be attacking everybody and go after that US Championship versus Shinsuke. Next up, we have Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens in a steel cage match. I already knew that it was going to be somewhat of a mediocre match, and that's what it turned out to be. I'm going to give it a C+, only because of the ending. The match was decent. It was Braun Strowman dominating Kevin Owens getting 1 or 2, 3 shots in, Braun Strowman showing his strength, and he's mocking him. He's trying to climb the ropes, and we knew Braun Strowman was going to show his strength. Broke the handcuffs, ran to the ring, jumped to the top, and this is what gave it a C+. Braun Strowman grabs Kevin Owens and mankind's him. I'm calling it mankind's because it was a mankind table from cage move. It was phenomenal. He throws him and he just lands, boom, straight from the 20 feet high. I haven't seen it in a long. I mean, we saw it last year. I'm lying. We saw it with Shane McMahon, but not as vicious as it was with Kevin Owens. The way he landed, he just hit his head and his back and his neck on the back of that table, and only for that reason, I am gonna give it a C+. I feel like they need to separate and go on to their own little feuds. I miss the angry Kevin Owens. I miss the I'm gonna kick your Kevin Owens, and no funny gimmicks, none of this running away from people. I need that Kevin Owens back, and I want to see Braun Strowman versus a competitor that will give him competition. Make this happen. That will make Raw somewhat decent. Next up, we have the SmackDown Tag Team title match, the Bludgeon Brothers versus Team Hell No. And the reason why I give quotations is because it's Daniel Bryan. It's basically a handicap match. From beginning till about the middle part of the match, it was a C average match. I hate giving Daniel Bryan very low grades, but it wasn't his fault. He was put in this predicament. He tried his hardest to come back and do what he can do best, but against two behemoths like Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, it's not gonna go over. They showed their strength, and I don't blame them either. It was just, like I said, the overall storyline, the predicament that they were in, didn't allow them to give a great match. And as Daniel Bryan was getting beaten down, Kane's music does hit, and he is walking with the boot. And like I told Psycho Steve, I thought demons don't get hurt. He's getting old. And Psycho Steve made a joke that they need to put the boot on him because he's already slow, so let's make it look like it's not his fault. So Kane comes down, he does a couple choke slams, which he can barely get these guys up, and he tags Daniel Bryan in. The Bludgeon Brothers take over, knock down Kane. They do get the win, and I'm excited for that because now Psycho Steve has to color his hair platinum, and because of that, I'm happy, and I'm gonna give this an A+++ because he has to color his hair. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna give this a C+ overall. It was not that great, but it did do what it needed to do. It gave Daniel Bryan the courage, the underdog storyline, and the Bludgeon Brothers do continue on as tag team champions. Next up, we have the unanticipated Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley. I'm gonna start off by giving this a D-. Not quite an F, let's give it a D-. Me and Psycho Steve, I personally thought, you know what, I'm gonna give Roman Reigns the benefit of the doubt. It's gonna be a good match. It's gonna be a hard-hitting, tough guys. After seeing the brawl on Raw, I figured, they're gonna go at it. They're gonna be just brawling. None of that happened. It was one punch, lay down, two punch, lay down. It was the slowest match I've seen in my entire life. I'd rather watch Drew Gulak wrestle than see these two wrestle, and that's saying a lot. This was a slow-paced match. I didn't like it. It was botches. They didn't have great chemistry. It wasn't great to see. Roman Reigns did his typical 5 moves of doom, jacking it from John Cena. Does a Superman punch to Bobby Lashley off the top. Gonna go for a spear, and Bobby Lashley reverses it with the ugliest spear I have seen in my entire life. It was like a football tackle, but I'm scared to get hit type move. 1, 2, 3 with a surprise. And I'm gonna give it the D+ because of the surprise that Bobby Lashley got the victory over Roman Reigns. I don't know what this is gonna happen. I don't know if this is gonna turn Roman heel. I don't know if it's gonna be a triple threat for Brock Lesnar. I don't know what's gonna happen. That kind of makes it exciting. But overall, as this match today, it was horrible. And like I said, I do give it a D+. Next up, we have the only match on the card officially that is actually Extreme Rules. I'm not including the kickoff, I'm including what's on the card. Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax in an Extreme Rules match. I don't understand how Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens and Strowman and Roman Reigns, they all facing these big tough guys and steel cages and hard-hitting brawls, and there's no Extreme Rules involved in an Extreme Rules pay-per-view. But no, let's give it to the shortest girl on the roster with the biggest girl on the roster. Cool, great logic, WWE. But they tried their best to do the best that they can. This match wasn't about Alexa Bliss, wasn't about the Women's Championship, wasn't about Nia Jax. This was about Ronda Rousey at ringside, and that was the only exciting part of the match. The match overall, I'm not gonna grade because it doesn't dictate what Ronda Rousey did. It was a very slow-paced, typical Alexa Bliss running away from Nia Jax match. The way they used the chairs and the trash cans, it was slow. It was just very, very bad. Ronda Rousey does start getting irritated because Mickie James is interfering, and they do knock over Natalya. They do gang up on Nia Jax, and Ronda Rousey's like, you know what? Screw this. She runs in and just starts throwing Mickie James like she's a rag doll, just throwing her all over the place. Her finisher at first, I was like, man, she's gonna do some weird Samoan drop. That finisher was amazing. So then she starts running after Alexa Bliss. I have not seen somebody run that fast around the ring in a very, very long time. And the crowd even got into it at that point. Started chanting Ronda Rousey. Alexa Bliss does get the victory. She starts beating down Ronda Rousey, gets in the ring, and then gang up on Nia Jax. DDT on top of the chair, 1, 2, 3. Still champion Alexa Bliss, but I feel like she's gonna lose it really, really quick to Ronda Rousey. Finally, we get to the good matches. Finally, I can stop giving C's and D's, and I'm gonna finally give a B+. It's Rusev versus AJ Styles. They put on a phenomenal show. Get it? Phenomenal. Amazing show. It was Rusev Day. It was a phenomenal day. I loved it. Rusev looks amazing. This dude, when he first got here, was 300+ pounds, huge and just ugly looking. And today, he was lean. He was, well, man, I'm gonna put him right here and just start working out and looking at Rusev because I want to look like that. He looked amazing. They're weird because they're faces, but their heels are like tweeners, and I love it. They play to the crowd. They talk crap to the crowd. They talk crap to the city, and it's amazing. I love that. AJ Styles is never gonna have a bad match. He's never gonna be a C match, a D match. It's always gonna be B and above. And today he lived up to it. It was a phenomenal match. I was excited. I was oohing and ahhing through the entire show. There was so close 1, 2, 3s for Rusev to win. Me and Psycho Steve were like, holy crap, Rusev's gonna win. AJ knocks over Aiden, phenomenal forearm, 1, 2, 3. AJ does get the victory, but all the props has to go to Rusev, and the sky's the limit from here on out. Next up, we have the main event of the night, which I'm completely proud of, that they left Roman Reigns in the mid-card and put Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler as the main event. It's a 30-minute Iron Man match, and we've seen this plenty of times by the greatest wrestlers. And these Iron Man matches are given to wrestlers who can actually last the Iron Man match 30 minutes. And Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler are two of the best technical, hard-hitting, high-flying wrestlers in the WWE. Dolph Ziggler, underrated through his entire career. Seth Rollins, he is the face of WWE. Let's see what they can bring, and they brought it. I'm gonna give this an A because it was phenomenal. Let's leave the crowd out of it. The crowd ruined it. Every time the clock would run down, they would do the Royal Rumble. Even Vince McMahon had to take down the clock so they can stop. It only got rowdier and rowdier from there. So I'm very upset about that, but the match overall was phenomenal. It was 3-1. Dolph Ziggler was down to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins looked like he was going to dominate it. Drew McIntyre on the side of the ring. We knew he was going to get involved somehow. He just steps in. They give the other victory to Seth Rollins, which puts him at 3-1. And he's just beating down on him. And out of here. The ref says, you know what? Get back to the back. You're ruining the match. Get out of here. So Seth Rollins is laying there. Dolph Ziggler picks up the victory. 3-2. It's so close again. Another pin. 3-3. It was 3-3 for the past 15, 17 minutes straight, just going back and forth. It was high flying. It was technical. It was a great match. I really enjoyed it. Great way to end Extreme Rules. Seth Rollins does his finisher. It's counting down 3, 2, 1. He doesn't get the pin on time, so it becomes a draw. It's 4-4 at that point. And Dolph Ziggler music hits. He is a victor. It's a draw, so it goes back to the official winner of the championship, which is him. Kurt Angle's music hits, which he's from Pittsburgh, so he has to pander to the crowd. And he says, you know what? This match isn't over. There's no draws. Sudden death. Next pin wins. Let's go. Dolph Ziggler gets back in the ring, and as soon as Seth Rollins turns around, Drew McIntyre's back. He gets distracted, need to face McIntyre, turns around, zigzag, 1, 2, 3, Dolph Ziggler gets the victory, and he stays IC champion. Where we go from here, I don't know. I don't know if Seth Rollins gets that push to face Brock Lesnar, to face Roman Reigns, to face Bobby Lashley, but Rollins, as the face of WWE, needs to hold that Universal title because it belongs on him, and it needs to be on him. Who wants to see Balor versus Rollins? I do. That needs to happen. But as far as Ziggler, he deserves it. I feel like eventually him and McIntyre will part ways and McIntyre will take that IC title from him. But tonight, as far as the show that they put on, I'm going to give it an A. Phenomenal way to end Extreme Rules, which overall, I am going to give Extreme Rules a C+. Besides those two matches and the Shinsuke little match, everything else was just horrible. The storytelling was horrible. The matches were horrible. Just everything, the way the matches were produced were very, very bad. I was not satisfied. I was so close to comparing it to Backlash, but because of AJ Styles, Rusev, Rollins, and Ziggler, I'm not. So they got lucky there. And in my opinion, don't call it Extreme Rules pay-per-view if there's no Extreme Rules involved. But those are my opinions. Those are my grades. Click it down above. Give me your grades. Give it A, B, C. If you love Roman, give it an F. If you hate Roman, give it an F. Get him out of here. No more Roman Reigns. Hashtag Roman sucks. But those are my opinions. Again, like I said, comment down below, like, subscribe. And once you do that, don't forget, follow me on Twitter, Mike Hiru BTS. Psycho Steve will be with you tomorrow for Monday Night Raw.